If you're always busy, if you're a person who's just booked up, so many things to do, make time to do nothing, right? And that nothing is still something, don't worry, but what are you doing in your life that isn't helping your mental health? So one of the first things is we are constantly plugged into something. And I'm guilty of this too. When I go home, Netflix. Driving in my car, it's usually a podcast or music, right? If I'm walking around, I pull out my phone. And that's not healthy. Father Mike Schmitz, in one of his videos, talks about gap time. And how every time we have some time where we're waiting or we're not doing anything particular, it's called gap time, right? There's a gap in what we're doing. And that's usually where God can speak. We need time to be alone with our thoughts. We need time to think things through. We just need quiet time, right? To not have our mind racing, thinking about a million things. So, number one is things that aren't helping your mental health could be too much screen time. Get yourself away from your phone, TV, computer. Number two, things that aren't helping your mental health are isolating yourself from others. Bishop Barron was at a conference, and he said something that stuck out to me. He said that the devil is both the accuser and the scatterer, right? He divides the sheep. And I think usually when we're feeling insecure or we're feeling anxious or depressed, we think, wow, I can't even relax. I can't even, be confident in myself. I can't even do these things without feeling anxious. The devil's kind of whispering those accusations in our ear, like, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not lovable enough. And then at the same time, he says, those people out there, your friends, your family, they don't want to deal with your stuff, right? You really think that they're going to care? Or he might make us mad at them and say, like, no one's even texted you, right? No one cares. The devil accuses and divides. Isolating ourselves from others, thinking that people don't want to deal with our stuff or that we can't share that part of us because it's too much, is what the devil wants, right? God wants us to have community, to be able to share these things with another, to build each other up, right? So number two, with not helping your mental health, is isolating yourself. Number three is if you're not exercising and not praying. Why do I clump those two together? I clump those two together because so often we separate our bodies and our souls, right? And maybe we'll put mind somewhere in there. But God made us body, mind, and soul. He made us with all three. Since we are body, mind, and soul, and not one or the other, if we work out, right, if we are exercising, we actually feel healthier, right? The exercise makes us happier. Like studies have shown, exercise will make you feel happier. Like a runner's high, you go to the gym, different brain chemistry is being triggered when you're exercising, when you're pushing yourself, right? The other thing is if you're exercising, you're actually building yourself up. You're building your self-confidence just even in your body, right? Like what your body is capable of and what your body can do. Exercise is super important, right? And then you have prayer, right? Because we're body, mind, and soul. And as Catholics, we know that prayer can bring us not only peace of mind, but peace of soul. Because it's our relationship with God. It's our relationship with love itself, with peace itself, with goodness itself. We can be healthier mentally when we have time with God, when we have time with prayer. And studies again show that, people who are Christian and pray are usually overall happier, right? And more at peace. Right? It doesn't mean things will suddenly get easier, but it means that even in struggles, it's worthwhile. Right? Even if we're struggling with anxiety, depression, or whatever it may be, prayer helps. And we know we have a God in heaven who is listening to our prayers, who cares about us. Because Christ became man to share in those sufferings. He knows what we're going through. He's listening to our prayers. Prayers are a powerful thing, right? From the psychological, mental standpoint to the spiritual standpoint, prayer is real, prayer is powerful. Number four, and what doesn't help your mental health is always being busy. I am terrible at this one. I'll admit that. In college, I was all over the place. And looking back, I was probably rushing to every single event I had to go to. If you're always busy, if you're a person who's just booked up, so many things to do, I highly recommend make time to do nothing, right? And that nothing is still something, don't worry, but make time to do nothing. Make time to rest. Make time to take a nap. Make time to watch that Disney movie that you've been wanting to watch. Do things that will give you true rest, right? Not just to check something else off your list, but to actually rest. So often we forget how much we need rest. So if you're always busy, it's going to affect your mental health. Make sure you take time to take care of yourself. God calls us to rest, so rest. Fifth thing that may not be helping your mental health is pushing down our problems, right? If we think, I'm really anxious, I'm really insecure, I'm kind of battling depression, but I'm just going to keep trudging on and pretend like it's not a thing. Or I'll try to cover it up, This is huge. When people just want to get wasted on the weekends or people want to get high, it's usually not just for recreational fun purposes. It's often because it's an escape, right? And we do this with everything. I'm not just saying it's alcohol or weed or whatever it may be. It's sex, it's Netflix, it's food. We use all these things as an escape. And ultimately, what God is calling us to do is to bring everything to light. To take a second to really find your thoughts, your feelings, your struggles important enough to pay attention to them. This might be where therapy comes in, and it probably will be really helpful. If you want to unpack these things, this is the point where, I don't want to just deal with these on my own. I don't know how to accept this. I don't know how to get better. And that's where coming to therapy can help you walk with someone who is willing to help you understand and unpack what is going on with you. Number 6 in what is not helping your mental health is thinking that struggling with your mental health makes you weak. This is huge in society. There's a lot of stigma about mental health, and pretty much if you have anxiety, depression, or anything that you're weaker. That's false, right? It takes so much strength to get help and to talk about your issues. And what I have found working with teens and young adults is that if one person says, I struggle with that insecurity, I struggle with that anxiety, right? I question myself, or, I have a hard time doing this. There are other people who are struggling with that as well. And you're bringing light to that. And you're bringing Christ to that. Struggling with mental health is something that ultimately we all face, right? It's not isolated. Everybody has their own struggles. Your mental health and your struggles with your mental health do not define you. But how you deal with it will shape you and form you. So, we have, going over these lists, things that aren't helping your mental health. Avoiding silent time, having too much screen time, isolating yourself, not exercising or praying, being too busy, pushing down your problems instead of looking at them, and finally, thinking that mental health makes you weak. Right? These are things that aren't helpful that we can give to God, that we can change little by little. Ultimately, change in your life starts with you. It doesn't start with anybody else. It starts with you. What can you do as God calls you to live a happier, healthier, holier life? Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe, comment below with questions. I'd love to answer some questions. You can contact me if you're interested in therapy at my website or contact information, and I love to hear from you. God bless.